In this video, I'm going to show you how to make changes to a web page. Not only am I going to make changes to the web page, but I'm also going to make changes to the cascading style sheet. Now, each one of your projects in CTEC 122 should start with you downloading the HTML template. This is the beginning point for all of the work that you're going to do. So I'm going to, from the instructor's website, click on HTML template. And now you can see there are two files in here, template.css, this is the cascading style sheet, and template.html, which is the HTML file. Now, before I download these two files, I've gone ahead and created a folder on my desktop called CTEC 122 Files. When you create your folder, or wherever you want to place the files that you're going to use to work on your work in CTEC 122, call it anything you'd like. Now, I'm going to right-click on the cascading style sheet and say Save Link As, and I'm going to save it in my CTEC 122 Files folder on my desktop. Okay, I just saved that file. I'm going to do the same thing with the template HTML file. Save Link As, and there we go. Now, if I go into my folder on my desktop, you can see I have the cascading style sheet called template.css, and I have my HTML file called template.html. This is great. Now, I'm just going to minimize Firefox for a second. Okay, and I am going to first right-click on the template.html file, and I'm going to say Edit with Notepad++. Now you can see here it brought up the class HTML template HTML file in a window right here. Now, I want to also open up the cascading style sheet because I'm going to want to edit both of these files at the same time, and I'll show you more of that shortly. So now I'm going to, whoops, I don't want to change the name. I right-click on it and I say Edit with Notepad++. Now, notice carefully that we have two tabs. The file that I just opened, template.css, this is the basis for every style sheet that you're going to work with in CTEC 122. And on this tab, I have template.html, which I showed you earlier. Now, this is all well and good. Now, if in the HTML, template.html tab here, I can click on Run, Launch in Firefox. Watch what happens. Now, you can see that I now have the class template file unmodified along with the associated style sheet being shown in Firefox. Now, check this out. Let's say, oh, look at this, HTML template right here in this title tag. Notice that HTML template right here. Notice that that title shows up right there. I'm just gonna change this for this video demo tutorial, and I'm just gonna change this to CTEC 122 demo. And if I save this and I go back in my browser and I click on the refresh button, notice the title is changed to CTEC 122 demo. So I modified the title element there. Now, let's say I go to main header here, which is between a set of H1 tags. Let's change that. Let's make it demo of CTEC 122 template. If I save that and I go back into my browser and I refresh, okay, now you can see that the text here has changed. See that? Okay. Now, we haven't done anything with our style sheet. Let's do something in the style sheet, something very simple. I'm just showing you right now how to make changes in both the template.html and the template.css. Now, I just want to let you know that template.html is most likely not going to be the name that you're going to give to your web pages. You'll be instructed on which names to give to your web pages throughout the course. Same thing with template.css. But for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to make some modifications here. Now, let's say that I want to change the background color to something different here. Let's make it a blue. I'm just going to go in and say 336699. Don't worry about that right now. I just saved the style sheet, and I'm going to refresh in my browser, and look at that. The entire contents of the page, right, in the body changed to blue. Okay? If I change that back, I'm just going to go back to the white that was there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Fs. And I'm going to change the color of the text to blue at this time, 336699. So what you're going to see, if I save that and I refresh my browser, is the text has changed to the color blue. Right? Now notice that how I did this. I didn't make any changes in my template HTML. Yes, I did change the textual elements of the template, but I used the style sheet to affect how the text looks, right? The color, the background color, and even the size, right? The font size here is 1M. Now, if I change that to 2M and I save it here, and I refresh my page on the right here, whoa, everything got bigger. Now, I've been working on these two files locally on my PC, right? They're in that folder on my desktop. And as you can see in the URL here, I'm looking at these, I'm previewing these files locally on my desktop. Now, something you're going to have to do a lot of in this class is copy those files up to the Clark web server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize both of these windows, and I'm going to bring up something we covered in Unit 1 called WinSCP, and I am going to launch it. I'm going to log in. It's going to ask me for my password. I'm going to enter that in. And on the left-hand side, you can see here that I'm just going to go to my desktop for a second and see I have the CTEC 122 files folder. And here are the two files that I just modified. Okay, I just worked on this at 3:15 in the afternoon just now. Now, if I want to place these up on the Clark web server, there's something that I showed you how to do in Unit 1, which you're going to need to do. And first, I want to make sure that I don't have these files out on the web server right now, okay, because I don't want to overwrite something that may be important to me. And it looks like I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two files, and again, we covered this in Unit 1. I'm just going to drag these files over and say copy. And now they're over on the Clark web server. Now, how do I preview these files? I fire up Firefox again. Fire up Firefox. There you go. And I go to ctec.clark.edu / your username. Okay, yours is going to be different. Yours may have a dot in it. It most likely will. And then I'm going to type in template.html. Now, what should we see here? We should see exactly what I'm seeing on the screen here that we were previewing locally. And here I go. And there it is. Notice the URL here, ctec.clark.edu. Now I'm no longer previewing these files locally. Okay? They're on the Clark web server. They're there for anybody in the world to enter that URL in and see your work. So we covered modifying template.html and the template.css cascading style sheet files. We saw how in Notepad++ we could edit those files, save them, preview them locally, and then when we were ready, we copy them over to the Clark web server using WinSCP.